Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out these headlines here. We got hearing information today at 3 p.m. Eastern time for the SEC versus Ripple. We got that for you if you don't have it already. CoinDesk, SEC investigation into Binance Coin. We'll get into that. We've also got Russia, BRICS, and what about BRICS Plus? Have you heard of it? Well, you better get familiar with it. Digital Euro Association, Visa, and RippleNet. Top bank, another feather in RippleNet's cap. And we got David Schwartz, the IMF, Jim Rickards, and so much more. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow me on Twitter at Dig Perspectives at the top of the screen, everything that we're talking about. Follow us on TikTok, too. It's growing really fast over there. Digital Perspectives, no spaces on TikTok. $1.2 trillion market cap, ladies and gentlemen. We are June 7th, 2022. Good morning, early afternoon for everybody here. The market is off by 5.3% this morning. Bitcoin, 29,600, Ethereum, 1,700 plus, and XRP at 39 cents. Some would say a bargain at these prices. I know I would, not financial advice, but a blue light special on XRP. Right now, ranging between 38 and 40 cents. You're going to like the news today in this one. First of all, this is a quick clip here. Shout out to Tim for this one. Talk about having Ripple on the brain here. This is Charles Gasparino reporting on another segment of news yesterday, but they will be covering today Ripple and XRP news, and this is what happened here. Take a listen.
It swirls around a very official letter from a law firm. Right, and it's actually not just law firm, it's Ripple's. Ripple. I got Ripple on the brain. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. XRP. And I'm editing a story, one of Ellie's stories about it. No, it swirls around.
Pretty funny stuff, and that will be coming up. And if anybody doesn't have the information already, thank you to Digital Asset Investor for tweeting this out. And I know I've done it and others have as well. But take a look at this. Today at 3 p.m. Eastern Time is the USA number 877-226-8215, international 409-207-6982, access code 4713826. You can tune in for that conference call and listen in on that. But listen, unauthorized recording and rebroadcasting of the conference, YouTube, Twitch, audio-only streams, etc., is strictly prohibited. Any unauthorized recordings will be investigated, and anyone found to engage in such behaviors may be subject to criminal sanctions. That is the disclaimer. Do not record it. Do not share it. But make sure you call and tune in. Look right here. It says the SEC is investigating whether Binance's BNB token should have been registered as a security in its initial coin offering in 2017. You know, this is Gary Gensler back at it. He promised he was going to chase down the exchanges. And I say it looks like the SEC has found a back door to going after the exchanges, crashing BNB, and maybe even causing a cascading effects into USD Tether, Bitcoin crash, knee bone connected to the leg bone. Keep an eye out for that executive order and the U.S. Treasury and FSOC. You know, look, it doesn't have to be to this degree. I'm just saying, you know, these possibilities exist. It is clear to me from the U.S. Terra collapse that we are seeing a sweeping action happening, whether it's from institutions playing in the background and causing these things to happen, which I firmly believe played a role in U.S. Terra's collapse, or the regulators coming at it from the front end and coming at it in a way that they're going to make sure that the stable coins that remain after this is over for US dollars will be highly regulated and licensed. You can bet your bottom dollar on that. Stay tuned for more. As you may know, but probably don't recall, the Binance token got the highest danger rating in the legal briefs SEC danger rating video last year, an 8.5 out of 10. Sure enough, the SEC is now investigating the BNB coin. There you go. Shout out to Jeremy Hogan for all he does. And here is another little salute to everybody out here in the XRP community. Has been through so much with this lawsuit. You all should get honorary legal degrees. You get a degree. You get a degree. The suit alleges that Ripple did, and this is from CME ATDA Top. And it says here, the suit alleges that Ripple did not register the sales of XRP as a security. Ripple argues it does not need to register because XRP is not a security. The burden of proof is on the SEC to prove to the court that the XRP is a security, or the SEC loses its case against Ripple. And therein lies the honorary degrees going out the door. And that's exactly right. And there was a Twitter space with a person running for a Senate, I think it was Bruce Fenton, I believe it is, who claimed otherwise about the case. But this is, in fact, what the case is about right here, just to clear the air. Let's change gears slightly right here, because this is going to show you just how quickly things are changing on the global scale. So now we're going to the globe now. What is happening? We are currently in the middle of trying to get regulatory clarity in the United States. There is a new bill. If you have not seen the video I just dropped on the new crypto bill, yesterday I put out one. The new bill should scare us all, because I heard Senator Loomis sit there and talk about Bitcoin can be exchanged and transacted as payments instantaneously, lightning fast, when we know that that is absolutely not correct. And that is me being as polite as it gets today. But what I'll say is this, is that when we look at the broader scope of what's happening globally, we know the world is moving to a new system. I firmly believe that that new system is a multi-asset, multipolar, multi-asset system, and not one that is anchored solely by a fiat global reserve currency. Now, I believe it would take time for that transition to take place, but I think this is evidence of it as we move through the info. Russia thinks it has found a way around Washington's dollar bond payment blockade. And then I want to show you this. Russia calls for integrating BRICS payment system. Now, to be full disclosure, this is really talking about the sanctions and getting around those things. I broadened the conversation to bring this in because this is very real too. This was just about a couple months ago. So Russia calls for integrating BRICS payment system. Now we know Russia and China have a payment system that goes around SWIFT. This payment system obfuscates SWIFT as well. Now, with that being said, look what's expanding. BRICS. If you don't know, the acronym for BRICS coalition is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Well, look how quickly BRICS Plus coalition is growing like gremlins these days. Would somebody sprinkle water on them? Take a look at the countries now involved here with BRICS Plus. Turkey, Argentina, Egypt, Indonesia, Kazakhstan, Nigeria, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Senegal, Thailand, Pakistan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, and Ukraine will be soon included. Think of it for a moment. Look how big this is getting, ladies and gentlemen. Now imagine macro-wise, we know there's a digital dollar project. What else do we know? We also know there's a digital euro association working on the same efforts. And Ripple's involved in that. Now, is Ripple involved in BRICS? I can't confirm that 100%, but I tell you, I believe they probably are. XLM probably as well. We certainly see the fractionalized new system, I believe, taking shape with BRICS and BRICS Plus, with the UK and their digital pound, with the Euro and the Euro Association developing what they're going to do. Obviously, what will eventually happen in the United States as well. I see all of these things coming together, and I firmly believe Japan and certainly the Southeast Asia region is going to have a huge presence there in that in a payment zone there as well. But take a look at this, because this is boots on the ground information here for RippleNet, and it's nothing but upside. This is from Rathacom, and the English translation of this Turkish document from Deloitte, one of the biggest accounting consulting firms in the world, Visa services such as B2B Connect and RippleNet, examples to be given in the topic. If this is accurate, then they are touting Visa's use of Ripple as a service. How about that? And it's right here. Visa B2B Connect via RippleNet. How about that? And it gets better. RippleNet is actively utilized by Curaçao's top bank. Come on in. Yeah. And that's a beautiful place to go and take a trip, by the way. Top bank, Curaçao Bank, it says Vita Nova here, states its partnership and the usage of RippleNet on its official webpage, where it says Vita Nova Bank provides access to RippleNet, the decentralized global network of banks and payment providers. Could someone please have Vita Nova talk to Gary Gensler? Oh, yeah. With this technology, you can message, clear, and settle financial transactions in real time. Additionally, Vita Nova, financial service provider located in Curaçao, an island in the Caribbean Sea, and a country within the Kingdom of the Netherlands, also utilizes SWIFT alongside Ripple for international payments. Remember that, alongside. So the old and the new. Right? It speaks of RippleNet. Thus, RippleNet connects banks, payment providers, digital asset exchanges, and corporations with the most advanced blockchain technology for global payments. Financial institutions are able to execute transfers to a growing number of institutions. Q1 was a record quarter for Ripple's remittance payment platform on-demand liquidity as volume increased 8x year over year. In total, RippleNet saw $15 billion in annualized payments volume run rate, marking unrivaled growth as ODL use cases continue to expand. Another top bank, I'm telling you, as a feather in RippleNet's cap. Beautiful stuff. And again, a reminder here, the Bank of Lithuania showing in this demonstration, XRP is smack dab in the middle of all of this. This is enormous what's taking place. And this is a reminder from the light shines in the darkness. Matthew Lynai here. The IMF claims back in their report on this back in 2020 that you don't need any requirements or regulations to use RippleNet. Remember, we covered this back in the day. Network or network-based application service providers such as RippleNet it is specifically cited by the International Monetary Fund in 2020. Not subject to specific regulatory requirements and do not need a specific license. Certain new services such as the offering of digital platforms and networks, example, RippleNet, offer services that are very similar to the ones offered by traditional payments or payment messaging systems without being subject to activity-specific regulation and oversight. MoneyGram is using RippleNet at that time, not any longer. They're now partnered with XLM and Stellar to channel remittance payments. Digital products such as DLT networks are also offered to be used as the technical platforms on which payment arrangements operate, with the provisions of network services to financial institutions being based on non-negotiable rule books and conditions. You know, one could make the market or argument here that it's, this is just straight up utility, right? Is how this is kind of being the way this reads to me, right? And obviously utility token is something that's been discussed about XRP for a long time. But when you see RippleNet, I see a utility, right? It's an enterprise facing software and system that has all the governance built in. Take a look at this. Excuse me. This is from Digital Asset Investor, and this is from a talk from David Schwartz some time ago, where he brought up back in 21, really that Bitcoin is not worthy of payments and proof of work in itself is not really viable for a scalable solution. Take a quick listen to this because I want you to have the contrast of what we know. Senator Loomis is telling us that Bitcoin can be used for payments and that the Lightning Network, Lightning Speed, using Stripe by Jack Mallers, right, and all the rest of it. Instantaneous payments, she says. And believe me, I've looked through the bill thoroughly. If you have not seen the video I released this morning, go watch that video. There are great elements about public disclosures and filings and things of that nature, which all are really healthy to bring about this new asset class. There's some great aspects in there, but this is what scares me about Senator Loomis being a part of this whole thing, because she's willing to sell you Bitcoin as instantaneous and this amazing solution for payments. But listen to David Schwartz.
I feel like I almost have to give a trigger warning here. If there are any Bitcoin maximalists who wandered into the room, some of this material may be a bit triggering for them.
By the way, what a weak world we've moved into when this is the kind of disclaimers you got to open a talk with.
Just a heads up. Systems that ride on it. It may be that moving millions of dollars in value has a near zero cost. Like moving gigabytes of information has a near zero cost, right? Like the cost of moving things has come down to zero. So it could be very useful in the values it moved and capture very little value itself. And proof of work doesn't work if that happens. Mm-hmm. So it's not a good choice to build on. And it forces a race to the bottom. As we saw in the attacks on Ethereum last week, a miner has a free option. A miner can try to gain all of Ethereum's decentralized ecosystem at zero cost. He can assemble the transactions in a block however he wants. And if a miner makes more money by gaming the DeFi ecosystem, by taking orders that have gotten out of balance, not allowing people to cancel orders, whatever he does, he's going to make more money than miners that don't do that. And so he's going to mine more and they're going to mine less. And he can force them out of business. Mining is a race to the bottom. You got to make the most money for every hash you do, or you're squeezed out of business. You got to do your hashes at the lowest cost possible. There is no incentive really to improve the network other than the sort of diffuse incentive that if the whole ecosystem is good, the system is better. But that's like what we don't rely on, right? Like if the only thing we relied on was that, well, miners want the system to work well, so they have this sort of diffuse incentive to make the system better. That's not how mining works, right? We presume miners are selfish. And so it forces a race to the bottom. I don't want you to mine because you're pushing the difficulty up for me, even if you're making the network better than I am. You're sort of indifferent to the quality of the network because you're forced to. And it doesn't really operationally decentralize very well. All of the people who mine look like all of the other people who mine. They're people who have cheap power and good hardware, can operate cheaply. They tend to be similar looking. Miners choose how the system makes forward progress. The only reason they have to provide operational decentralization is because if the system sucks, people won't use it.
And there you have it. And it really comes down to the contrast. And I believe that was from a talk where no incentive is the best incentive. And listen, when this all comes down to this idea of understanding what's our best choice, what's our best solution for payments and a new financial system, it really comes down to one answer. And I'm going to let Jim Rickards, out of all the people that could give you the answer, give you the answer. This is a talk where he was discussing back in 2020 or 2021 about what was the best methods of crypto to be used in the future for a new system, essentially, and which one was the best. And you're going to hear him. This is a macroeconomist who's not a fan of crypto and he's not a fan of Bitcoin. And listen to what he says about what's the best option to use here. As this is Jim Rickards, who is going to lay out to you the proof of work, proof of stake, and federated Byzantine. And by the way, if you don't know, that's exactly what the XRP ledger is all about, the federated Byzantine agreement, as well as the consensus mechanism. Now, I want you to very carefully, that's from David Schwartz, and I want you very carefully listen to this clip from Jim Rickards as he breaks down very clearly what's a winner and what's a loser to him.
That was the original idea. So the question is, what's your method of validation? And that's what distinguishes one blockchain from the other. So I've listed 4 of them here, but there are others. Proof of work, that's what blockchain uses. And you know what the work is? You got to factor these, 87-digit prime numbers into prime factors. It's a lot of computer crunching, completely clunky, completely inefficient, non-sustainable. I'll talk about that in a second, but that's Bitcoin. There's something else called proof of stake, meaning you actually, this is what Ether is based on, you demonstrate that you have a certain percentage of the processing power, so you step up based on your stake. There's proof of space. Space is storage space on a hard drive, so I get to vote on the blockchain. I get to vote on validating the blockchain because I've decided to devote a certain amount of my hard drive to that process. There's a new coin called Space Mint. And then there's the Byzantine Agreement, or Byzantine Agreement. There's a version of that called the Federated Byzantine Agreement, which I personally think is the best, much more robust to some of the problems we're talking about, and there are others. But the point.
There you have it right there. That's the gold bug macroeconomist Jim Rickards telling you what the answer is. That's the adults in the room right there. Now, remember what I said about the top bank, right? The top bank that's now in Curacao working with RippleNet, and about how it is working side by side using SWIFT, also utilizes SWIFT alongside Ripple for international payments. Well, where have we heard this approach before? Victoria Cleland back in 2019. Remember her? Executive Director for the Bank of England, which has been a Ripple partner for years. And she said, Executive Director of Banking, Payments and Innovation at the Bank of England said, I expect a big bang cutover because what you have with real-time gross settlement, RTGS, is the core ledger supporting payments transactions worth hundreds of billions of pounds a day. And we can't have some members on it while others are not. After talks with the Bank of England's internal IT department, it is likely the bank will keep the existing system up and running alongside the new one for a period as a fallback. So if there was any problem, we know we could recover back to that. Part of the challenge is ensuring all organizations that link into the RTGS are also prepared for the cutover. It is not just the Bank of England that needs to be ready. We need to know the whole industry is ready. And I think that is a large part of why we see the big ISO 20022 migration that's taking place across SWIFT and everywhere else to get this standard uniformity happening when it comes to the messaging language, which also opens the door to use and settlement of digital assets where applicable. Now, this is Christian Carlo, who is also going to talk to us about the idea of a public good and a new system parallel to the old system. Look how all of this is aligning, and with today's news, it's reinforced that that's exactly how they're doing it, is alongside of the old system, which is SWIFT. Listen to Christian Carlo here.
It's very expensive. And we are not calling for displacing it overnight, but we're calling for, this is equivalent to, if you want to build a new mass transport system, you probably don't tear down the old one, you leave it running, but you build a new one alongside it.
That's exactly what Victoria Cleland, Executive Director from the Bank of England, said. That they build the new payment rail right next to the old payment rails and run them parallel in conjunction with one another. So if there's any problem, they could switch right back to the traditional payment rail. And he's saying the exact same thing. And wait till you hear what else he says.
Using a newer technology. And that's what we're talking about. Let's start building the new rails of the new technology. We don't tear down the old one, but let's build it because it's a public good to build.
It's a public good. That's what we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen. And that public good may be just labeled as a utility and a utility token. And we'll see how that lines up should this new bill actually become law. There's a lot to look into. There's a lot going on. Don't forget about the hearing today, SEC versus Ripple, 3 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure you get the number from the front of the video or on my Twitter. I will catch all of you on the next one.